whereas I used to process the kick in, the kick out, or the snare top and the snare bottom, you'll see inside these folders, I'm not really doing much processing to the individual channels, but more doing group processing, the subgroup processing on these folders. Hey guys, my name's Jonny Bird and I'm one of the co-founders here at Drum Sample Shop. In this video, I'm going to be talking about mix templates. So, what is a mix template? For me, a mix template is something that I've built ahead of time that's really going to set me up for a win when I'm mixing. When I'm starting a new mix, I'll import all the tracks from my mix template and use this as a great starting point. All my color coding's done, all my organization, my routing. It's going to save me a ton of time because all of the organization is done ahead, and when I'm mixing I can just be 100% in the creative zone. Now, you may be worried that a mix template can make every song sound the same, but I really find that's not the case. The mix template is simply a starting point for me to dive off from. Because all of that organization is done, I can really experiment, don't have to worry so much about the technical organization of the mix. In some ways, a mix template can actually give you some consistency. You get the same starting point, even though when there's so many variables in terms of the files that you can receive from clients, you don't know where it's been recorded. When I'm mixing an album, this mix template can make sure that each track feels cohesive to the next. The mix template doesn't lock you in, but it's a great starting point. Just saves you a lot of time. So let's talk about how I've got my template set up. I have my templates set up into folders, and these folders might be called auxes or subgroups. So you can see if I open up these folders, inside I've got more folders and more subgroups. So what's the difference between a group and a subgroup? A group is where you just link tracks together, maybe so you can change all of the volume at the same time. Whereas a subgroup is where you're combining lots of individual channels and putting them together to treat them as a cohesive whole. A good example of that is my drum bus, where I'll send all my elements of the drums, the kicks, the snares, the toms, and process those together, maybe with some EQ or compression. I've also started doing that in my recent mixes for the individual elements. So whereas I used to process the kick in, the kick out, or the snare top and the snare bottom, you'll see inside these folders, I'm not really doing much processing to the individual channels, but more doing group processing, the subgroup processing on these folders. You know, it'll be things like EQ, compression, saturation. I would find I would want the kick overall to be louder or quieter or brighter or darker. And instead of having to, do I do that on the kick in? Do I do that on the kick out? It's much easier to do that at the top level of all the kicks together. So I really like this way of working, and I feel like sonically it brings the mix together in a different way. It definitely simplifies things a bit. Another great thing about mix templates is I can have a bunch of effects sends. For example, when I'm working on the vocals, I like to have lots of different reverbs, lots of delays, maybe some stereo width, and I can have all of that set up ahead of time, and you know, I can use these as a starting point to dial into that specific song. But again, a lot of the hard work of setting up those buses, all the routing is all taken care of ahead of time. I've picked some of my favorite reverbs and delays and they're all ready to go. Another cool thing about mix templates is I can treat the whole mix together in what I call the mix bus. I've got a bunch of plugins that add glue, excitement, compression, EQ. I can really shape the whole mix from a macro level. This is also where I'll do any of my mastering or limiting. So there you have it. I use a mix template on every single mix I do. It allows me to get consistent mixes and really speed up my workflow. I've been Jonny Bird. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications. And stay tuned, because coming soon, we're releasing a brand new product that I think you're going to really like.